I sent you an email.
Okay, let
Howard,
it be
you sent
known
me
that
an email?
all members are present. All members are present. There are no citizen comments that I have seen. Board member committee reports. Let's start with Howard.
Nothing except harassing Emily to get help on stuff.
Okay, Jim,
Nothing.
Chad,
Yeah, nothing to report.
Sue,
I attended the MSBA Zoom call with the governor on the 24th, and I just had a finance meeting.
Deb,
I attended a short wellness committee meeting and then agenda planning and finance.
Eric,
I attended a finance meeting just before this, and I finally got my video for school board scholars sent to Emily.
okay. I had executive committee last Wednesday, and I think it was, I joined a Zoom meeting about spring program with Barb and Ben and Darren and Emery, and I
There.
think that might have been it. Superintendent report.
I think I'm going to just keep my remarks to, there's a portion in the agenda talking about end of year planning. Most of my comments are related to that because it talks about the remaining year, but we're also doing some planning for the summer, and we're starting to do some alternative planning for start of school next year in the event that we can't start as normal. But most of my comments are related to that agenda item. We did have a great last Friday and Monday with some staff development for our the continuation of distance learning. But like I said, I'll talk more when that agenda item comes up. Thanks.
Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So
So
moved.
moved.
I'll
Second.
Motion made by Deb, seconded by Jim. With vote via roll call again tonight. Howard,
Yes.
Jim,
Yep.
Chad,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
and I am also a yes. Motion carries. Discuss and act on previous board meeting minutes. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Howard, seconded by Jim. Is there any discussion? All right, Howard,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Yes.
Chad,
Yes. Yeah, I'm good.
Sue,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
and I am also a yes. A motion carries. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Chad, seconded by Eric, I think, or Howard. Sorry, I wasn't sure.
I think I did.
Okay, so motion made by Chad, seconded by Howard. Is there any discussion? Okay, we'll take it to a vote. Howard,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Chad,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
and I am also a yes. So motion carries. We're going to move on to the information, the end of year programming. So
Okay,
Ben, this is you.
Yeah, this is me. I thought I saw Jessica on, but apparently not. Okay, end of the year. There's some important pieces that the board needs to know. Our last day of school on the calendar would be May 29th. Okay, that is a Thursday. And we have determined that we will need to conclude our last day of official distance learning for this calendar year on May 22nd, okay, which is the Friday before. If you look at a calendar, that Friday is the Friday before Memorial Day, and Memorial Day is that Monday. And we would have the students coming back that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And typically in a school year, that those last few days would be lots of wrap-up activities. Teachers would be collecting all of the textbooks, all of the materials, right? There's lots of inventory. And right now, we have hundreds of thousands of dollars of computers out. We have thousands and thousands of dollars of textbooks out, and library books and those kinds of things in the hands of all of our families. So we will need to make a coordinated effort to get all of that collected on that Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of that final week. The reason why we need to do that is contractually all of our staff are done working on that Thursday for paras and that Friday for teachers. And if we don't collect everything until the 29th or after, we're going to have big piles of very expensive materials with no manpower to go through it all and get it, prepared and those kinds of things. So we are going to be developing a communication that will go out. The teachers will be getting it via the principals tomorrow and Thursday, and then we'll be getting something out to all of the families on this week's weekly update from the district. But I wanted you guys to know that that seems to be consistent with what we're seeing many, many schools doing. It's just logistically, we have to coordinate that way. So I wanted you guys to be aware of that. Summer, we know that the state has ordered that any summer programming that needs to be done would need to be done in a distance learning format through June 30th, okay? So any targeted services, any credit recovery, any special ed programming for summer school would need to be done via distance learning, and that's what we're planning and preparing for right now. We don't feel like we have the ability to prolong the credit recovery piece because we still have students that are short on credits that we need to offer programming for, and we're creating that right now. In relation to childcare for summer, we are trying to coordinate and plan for our Tiger Club to continue on, although the free childcare provisions in the executive order from the governor would end at the end of May, and starting June 1st, all of our programming would be fee-based. We're thinking that we workers too, but our hope is to open that up to all families that need childcare, given the stay-at-home order stops and people are able to utilize that programming. Even with that, we anticipate that we will have social distancing provisions that we'll need to be thinking of, which will lower our student to staff ratio, which will cause significant challenges on the financial part of it. So we are just not in a position after losing money in Fund 4 for the last 3 months and having our Fund 1 supplement that. We're not in a position to continue doing that. So whatever we do in community ed, we have to have it be financially stable. Okay, so I just want you guys to know that. And I want you to also know that we are giving our community ed team members a heads up that, the math's going to have to work out, and we will have to adjust our staffing based upon the number of students that we have. If we don't have enough students, we're going to have to cut back on staff and cut back on their hours. And that includes administrative staff, support staff, and any staff related to the community ed programming. We'll be talking to our finance committee and keeping the board apprised of that as we go. So that's important information for you to have. Want to talk a little bit about the food and the meal provisions. We hope to be able to roll straight into our summer food program starting in June, and it would be similar to what we're doing now. In years past, families have been able to come into our cafeteria and eat. We won't be able to plan for that. We'll continue with the curbside pickup. We do have more issues that we're going to have to deal with as it relates to food safety and the heat in the summer. So we're thinking about having, instead of a daily pickup, have 2 days a week on a Tuesday and a Friday, and they would get their meals for 3 days at each time of the pickup. Deanna's been real sharp and really on top of that. So we have a lot of confidence in her ability to keep moving that forward. Another update on end of year planning. I'm sure many of you have thought and have heard people talk about what's graduation going to look like. I can tell you that at this point in time, we do not know for certain what that will be. We have several teams of people that have been providing significant input on that process. Barb has met with the entire senior class. I believe that she's met with different leadership teams and councils of students in that senior class as well. There's been surveys conducted, and Barb has created a parent advisory group, and those parents primarily belong to the all night after graduation party. So those parents have been highly active in the seniors last year for a long time. So she has that advisory group as well. And she's also created a leadership team that she can funnel all that information through to help give a final recommendation. And that leadership team, she's asked to have myself and her and the 2 assistant principals, the chief of police, and she asked for a board member. I asked Chair Strandberg to participate in that, and he graciously accepted. We met one time, and we hope she's going to try and coordinate a meeting for us tomorrow, if that works. You all need to know that the majority of people in the surveys, especially the kids, want to do a ceremony, a traditional ceremony with large gatherings. We, as adults, and in the position that we are in, although it's not necessarily popular, we feel like we need to follow the law. We need to follow CDC guidelines and Minnesota Department of Health guidelines. With that said, we don't see any version of having a large gathering that would be consistent with MDH and CDC guidelines, and law enforcement has indicated to us that they certainly would not support us violating any orders. We anticipate that the Department of Education and MDH will be providing health guidelines for graduation specific to schools, and they have indicated that we will have those guidelines this week. So we're anticipating that. We feel like we don't have time to necessarily wait. So we do have some preliminary thoughts that we're moving forward with some planning on that Barb will share with the leadership team tomorrow, and that will consist of a production, if you will, of a virtual ceremony that would be created, and there'd be lots of planning that would be associated with that virtual ceremony. There is also a discussion on how we could coordinate a live stream of the student actually walking across the stage right now, and they were talking that we might be able to use our PAC for that to happen, where a car can come through, a child can get out, and they can walk across the stage, get their diploma, have their name read, and that would be live streamed. We are also hopeful and have some ideas around a live radio broadcast, because we anticipate that people will be in their vehicles as they would drop their child off. There is some talk, although we don't know that we would coordinate this as a school. Maybe we would ask that the community or parent group help coordinate the idea of a possible, what would you call it, a procession of vehicles that may start at one end, and with people having the opportunity to cheer them on with following social distancing guidelines, to where they would end at the high school where they would get their diploma. There is a group out there that's working to have every single light post in town have a picture of a graduate, and with our logo congratulating them on their graduation. Our hope is that project will be completed soon, and you will see the entire town, with our children or our graduates' pictures on them. Barb's going to share, some thoughts with that leadership team on that idea that I just shared with you now. It would be a combination of two things: a virtual ceremony, and then an opportunity for a graduate to walk across the stage and get their diploma and have that broadcasted in some way. So anyways, that's all preliminary. The devil's in the details. I do trust that team would come up with a very classy ceremony, and you guys have been there, done the real graduation, and you see the level of detail that they put into that to make it a special event for the students. This is honestly a non-winnable situation, because we know that whatever we would come up with, not everyone will agree with. We just don't feel like we're going to be in a position to violate any order or put anyone's health or safety in jeopardy, although we know that will be the popular choice. And people may share versions with you about, can't we use the football field? We promise we'll stay 6 feet apart, and we'll only have parents and the children there and the graduates there. But we're talking 800, probably 800 students or people, right? And I don't know where you'd be, where that would be allowable. So I don't know. We have to make a decision. We need to make the adult right decision. And
Is anybody going to be giving a speech, like a student live?
Oh yeah, all the same things will be happening, Jim, in the production. It's going to be like a Hollywood production of a live broadcast, or some things pre-recorded, and they'll all be placed in there. But the graduate speeches will all take place. Yeah, I mean, you're seeing versions of things like this happening all over on TV right now. If you're watching different things, heck, I watched a half an hour of The Voice last night, where they had the live version, but then the pre-recorded singers, and then they go back and forth. I mean, it's gonna have to be something like that. But the speeches and all of the traditional things would still occur, but it would have to happen in a virtual way. We just, unless the world changes suddenly, we don't see any way that we can put something together with a large gathering of people. You know, and although I know that we're going to get blasted for not having a traditional ceremony, I guarantee you that if we had a traditional ceremony, we would get equally as blasted or more blasted, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I just wanted you guys to know the latest. I told Barb that we're going to have to start, you know, planning in one direction to get all the legwork done behind the scenes. If we need to change course, we need to change course. But that's something we're thinking about for sure, a virtual ceremony with the combination of some other things that we can do special for the kids to supplement the virtual. So more to come on that. Any other any questions you guys have of end of the year wrap up?
I
kinds of
do,
things?
about the letter you sent out about grading. Was that sent out to staff?
I'm not sure if that got sent out to staff yet or not. I think it probably has. I'd have to ask Jessica. That was a draft that she helped create that was shared administratively, and I shared it with you before we were going to send it out to staff. It may have gone out to staff. I'm not sure yet, Jim.
So that was a done deal. As far as the grading goes, that was a done deal then?
Well, well, all of that language came from the Department of Education. I mean, basically, the Department of Ed had basically said, you're not going to. They don't support failing, given, you know, dishing out Fs unless, you know, maybe there's the most extreme circumstances, and you know, we have a process that would be followed there. I think the biggest thing from the department's perspective from the get-go, and I know this is a debatable philosophical thing, right? But their biggest thing from the get-go was equity. And, you know, the one, education and public education is a great equalizer, because it doesn't matter what kind of environment someone's in. Once they come into our doors, we're the great equalizer, right? We should be treating everybody the same and giving everybody the same opportunity. But that variable was thrown out the door the day that they all had to get their education at home. And we don't know what variables that each of our children are dealing with that are outside of our control as we're providing the distance learning. And
there was a term on NPR today called compassionate flexibility. So, I mean, compassionate flexibility. So that kind of seems what this grading is about.
Yeah, I mean, we know that you know, especially probably at the high school more than any other place, there could be some disagreement with that. But you know, I guess I support that the position of MDE of the compassionate flexibility. And you know, I don't know. Yeah, the one good thing that we have going for us is our K-8 program that are more standards based. That really lends itself to this quite a bit. I want the board to know that from the get-go, our position administratively with our teachers was that we were going to put the priority on connection with our students, this, you know, staying connected, and the social emotional side of them being safe socially, emotionally, and mentally. That was our priority. And the content side of it second, although important. you know, I don't know. It was tricky. The experience, I don't know that, you know, I think it's obvious to state it that it wasn't going to be the same quality or the same experience that they would have had if they were with us for all of that same time. It is amazing though. Some teachers have said that they've had more connection with kids in this virtual environment than they felt like they had when they were with them physically, you know, but I think every teacher's experience is a little bit different as they've gone through this.
Ben, at one time, MDE was talking about doing pass-fail grades rather than letter grades. Is that still an option out there?
Yes, it is an option. It is an option. And right now, the only the only building that really gives letter grades is our high school. So that's where the pass fail. And I know that the high school has been talking about grades for a long time. We can go into a philosophical discussion. You know, people could debate what a grade means even when we're in brick and mortar. And now the fact that we are in this situation, you know, the question is, how can we have a high level of confidence in the validity of a grade given the situation that we are in?
Yeah. Ben, a whole
Are there
separate different question. They usually have the scholarship night where the kids get their scholarships and stuff. Has there been any discussion how that's going to be handled, the senior awards?
I will have to follow up on an email with you to give you that information. Howard, I know that there's things happening there. I just haven't been as involved with that. I know that scholarship committee.
I'm on the board.
Okay.
They're putting together videos. All the board members on the scholarship committee are putting together videos. And they're going to be presenting that on a scholarship night. And I think they're going to be actually mentioning the names of students and what scholarships they're getting to. So there's going to be a video presentation from the scholarship committee.
Okay.
Each
Thank
of the
you, Jim.
presenters had to submit what their scholarship is for, and through a video, and then through also a picture. So they'll put that all together. We don't know who the recipient is, but that'll be put in when they do the production.
Okay. Thanks, you guys.
I just
Are
had
there any more questions for Ben?
Yeah, I just had a quick question on the end of the year planning program and stuff. Do you have like I don't know, just like a rough estimate of when that plan will be shared, you know, as a whole? I mean, I know you're still working on it, but what are they kind of looking at as far as sharing that with everybody? Just curious.
Which are you talking specifically graduation, or are you talking other stuff?
Yeah, because I know you mentioned earlier that they're kind of waiting on some guidance from MDE, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's
Well,
coming.
honestly, I'm asking Barb to meet with this leadership tomorrow to go through the process that she said she was going to go through, right, to honor that. And then I've asked her to, behind the scenes, move forward with planning, getting stuff rolling, you know, so we can do this. I am a little hesitant. I would prefer to wait till MDE and MDH comes out with their guidance before we send out anything publicly, just because I don't want to act too hastily and potentially have egg on our face for doing something that if the state comes out and says you clearly can't do that.
Right.
So I'm trying to, it's hard because everyone wants to know, but I think that too many times in this process, people have gotten caught with making one decision and then the state coming out and saying something different, and then they got to backtrack and that whole piece. And if they're telling us that they're going to have something to us by the end of the week, we're going to try and wait till that comes out. And then if that communication comes out tomorrow from the state, then we will get something out tomorrow or Thursday, but I think that we will definitely need to be getting something out to families by the end of this week. That would be my goal.
Are there certain seniors, like athletes going on to colleges and things, who have to have letter grades for seniors?
In terms of their transcripts and things?
Yes, and scholarships or whatever.
Yeah, well, I think that the intent at the high school is to still have letter grades. I think that the pass-fail may be used only if they decide to do that. Might be pretty rare, used pretty sparingly. Prior, instead of giving a student an F, there, it may be a P. But I would have to get more information from Barb regarding the specifics of that.
Ben, one other quick question. We talked about it last time, letters of commendations from the school board for, state qualifiers, et cetera. That's still going and just being mailed to the students, correct?
Yeah, it is. And what we are going to do, Howard, is we're going to invite all of those participants to our next meeting, actually via Zoom, and have the first part of our meeting where we actually present it to them. So you'll see their faces on the screen as well. And then we'll be mailing the certificates. So you guys will all be able to, share congratulations and that kind of a thing. It will just be done virtually.
Okay.
All right, is there any more questions for Ben?
Is the
Thanks,
school board scholar, is that on video tomorrow night, how that works?
Yes, it is actually, we're doing it, I can't remember what it's called, but it's a scheduled event that will be on social media. So it will be coming out like it's a live deal, but we all pre-recorded it. And it will be on the same night that it was originally planned for. Is that tomorrow night?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mark it at 7.
So that will be online tomorrow at 7 then. And then of course, people will be able to watch it for forever, but it will be live starting then. And that would have been in all their letters and the communications and stuff that we had sent out to them.
Will we get a link to that, or do we get a link to that, or is that on YouTube? I don't know. Or Facebook?
It's right on our Facebook page. It'll
Okay,
show up as
all
an
right.
event on our page, and right at 7 it'll say join live, something like that.
Oh, okay, cool. Thank you.
Well, Emily, you could have been bailing me out on all kinds of stuff tonight.
Hey, I only know about the scholars.
All right. Thanks, Emily. So it's going to be on Facebook. If you don't have Facebook, then
Good for you.
I've got Facebook.
okay. All right.
All right, let's move on to the action part of the program here. Meal prices. Do we have a motion to accept the 2020-2021 meal rates with no increase to current rates as presented?
I move to accept it.
Second. Nope, okay.
Motion made by Jim, seconded by Howard.
I think
do we have
Chad
any
had-
discussion?
It's fine. It's fine.
See no discussion, we'll move to a vote. Howard?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Deb? Eric?
Yeah.
And I am also a yes. So motion carries. Moving on to the spring activity coach pay. Do we have a motion to accept the recommendation to pay spring coaches at half rate for the spring 2020 season as presented?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second. I don't know who you got.
Motion made by Jim, seconded by Howard. Is there any discussion?
Well, I'll just let,
I didn't make the motion, so someone else did.
Oh, who made the motion? Eric?
Eric makes,
Oh, sorry about that. Motion made by Eric Mink, seconded by Howard. Sorry about that, folks. Ben, were you
Yeah,
gonna
I
speak
just
on this?
well, I just want the board to know, just in full transparency, that, well, we did have a meet and confer, and the teachers union brought up their concern that their coaches weren't getting paid 100%. We shared those thoughts with our finance committee, and presented everything that was shared with us. And the finance committee really stood in a strong resolve that we should continue with the original recommendation. So I just wanted you guys to know that we had those discussions.
Is there any further discussion? Okay, we'll put it to a vote. Howard?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
Deb?
Yeah,
Eric?
Yes.
I am also a yes. Motion carries. Next, we have the voluntary leave MOUs. Do we have a motion to accept the voluntary leave memorandum of understanding for each bargaining unit as presented?
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion made by Sue, seconded by Deb. Is there any discussion? Put it to a vote. Howard?
Yes.
Jim?
yes,
Yes.
Yes.
Deb?
Yes,
Eric?
Yes.
And I am also a yes. The motion carries. There's no additions to the agenda. Future meetings are presented below. We have a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
so moved.
All right. Motion carries.
Howard got it.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Everyone have a good night.
You too. Thanks.
You too. Goodbye.
Bye.
Jason, are you still there?